Hi guys, this is Jonathan Lambert with the Mathematics Development and Support Service at the National College of Ireland, and today I suppose I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm doing a little bit of research, I suppose, in relation to the Java virtual machine and instruction execution. I'm trying to model instruction execution on the Java virtual machine, and I suppose I decided to get a Raspberry Pi, just as I suppose a device that I can actually load a virtual machine up on and actually just get right in under the hood and just actually get information from it and data and collect data. So everything arrived today. I got my Raspberry Pi 4 computer model B with 4 GB of RAM. I have that here. I suspect that when I'm running my benchmarks on this particular device, that the processor is going to probably give off a lot of heat. So what I got as well is I got this. It's down as a new Ice Tower Cooler for the Raspberry Pi, and in particular this one is a model that will fit nicely onto the Raspberry Pi 4B. And I also got the Raspberry Pi, I suppose, recommended power adapter here. This video isn't really in relation to powering this device up. What I'm really interested in is just having a look at my Raspberry Pi 4 and also attaching this Ice Tower Cooler to my Raspberry Pi 4. You can probably see in the background here that I've been onto the Raspberry Pi page itself, and I've downloaded the schematics associated with the Raspberry Pi 4 and some other useful information, just the general layout of the chips that are on the Raspberry Pi 4, just so that I know where everything is. And in a little, I just got them. I got this off the Raspberry Pi page itself, and then I found just in a little bit more detail, I suppose, what actually everything is on that particular board, if that makes sense. And also because we will be interested in at some stage powering this thing up. I just got in relation to the GPIO pin set. Okay, I just got in relation to what each one of those pins represent, because we're going to have to power up our Ice Tower Cooler. So we're going to take, well, I suppose in my setup I'm not actually going to power it off the board. I'm going to have a separate power going into this. But at this stage, this video is just considering what I have here. I'm just going to open these up, and hopefully I'm going to be able to attach the Ice Tower Cooler to my Raspberry Pi 4, and then at some stage, maybe the next video, I will upload a flavor of Linux, maybe the recommended Raspbian. I'll upload on this, and I'll actually get things working, if that makes sense. Yeah. So just opening up my Raspberry Pi 4 just to see what I get here. I have, I suppose, just a little particular booklet here. All this really talks about is just be careful when you're setting everything up, how to handle this device and so on. So I'll just put that to the side. And also, I suppose, a little card in relation to what way to handle it. So I'm new to electronics, but I suppose we shouldn't be touching the board itself. That's not good. The board should be face up in this direction, and also the way to handle the board. Don't be putting anything on top of the board, because it is going to heat up, and that could cause a bit of a problem. So just taking my board out here now. I'm just going to take my board out carefully. I'll just slide it out here. So just sliding out the board, and what I have is I have my Raspberry Pi. Okay, this is an interesting. It's an interesting, I suppose, piece of kit. It's basically it's a nice powerful little machine. Yeah, we can do many things with it, but what I want to do is attach the tower. But just looking at this from a specification perspective, along here is my GPIO, my general purpose input-output pins. So anything I want to connect in, I can connect in through there. Other things that I have here are things like, let's say we have our Ethernet connection here. We have USB 1 and USB 2 ports. We have, I suppose, let's see, this takes a micro USB charger, so that's right here. We have two micro HDMI ports here for connecting in two screens. And there's many other things on it. This is the Wi-Fi chip in here. This is the processor in here, and this chip here, this big black chip here, I suppose is the RAM. And I ordered this with 4 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, but I suppose this video isn't about actually finding our way around here. What I'd like to do is I'd like to connect this tower to this particular board. Okay, so just opening up the new Ice Tower Cooler, S2Pi, designed by S2Pi. I'm just going to open this up. I've had this open already, but let me just take everything out. There's a small little booklet here in relation to how to do things. There's a set of, I suppose, let's say, brass pins and things like that here. There's some mounts. There's this baseboard as well that I get, and I get a little screwdriver too. There's my little screwdriver, and then I have this particular cooling tower. Okay, so this is really interesting. So I have the cooling tower here, and what I want to do is these reds, the reds and the black are the power connectors. I can connect this into the GPIO. I can take power from the GPIO using the particular pins. We'll have a look at that in a moment. So I could actually power this up. I think the red goes to the 5 volts and the black goes to the ground volts. The ground on this particular GPIO pin set. Okay. But I want to get this ready now. I just want to get my mounts on, and I want to just get this ready for connecting to the Raspberry Pi. So hopefully I can get this done pretty quickly. Let's see where I am. I've got everything. There's a list of features. There's what comes in the package itself. There's one Ice Tower Cooler. There's 8 by M2.5 copper sticks. There's 4 M2.5 nuts. There's 6 M2.5 screws. There's 3 thermal tapes. Okay, that has to stick on top of the processor, which I suppose effectively the tape sticks to the processor and also to the heatsink here, and it's thermal tape, so it'll help in the transfer of heat and it'll allow this to connect onto this device. But let's say from a setup perspective, I suppose I should get all my pieces out here. So let's just get our what are these called? These are our mounting brackets. Okay, so I have my 2 mounting brackets. One is labeled as 1, okay, with a 1 here, and the other one is labeled with a 2, just up in the corner here. I'm just going to get my pins out. I've actually already gone through this, so I don't really need to be, well, I don't think I need to be reading it. Yeah, maybe I will have to at some stage. But maybe what we should do is we should just lay all of these things out. Okay, so I'll just get my copper pins. 1, 2, oh, let's say 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they always like to give you an extra one. Yeah, there seems to be an extra pin here. There we go. And then let's say we have our nuts. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have a 5th nut, and then we have these little screws here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 screws. Oh, 6 screws, and then we have this thermal. We have 3 pieces of thermal tape. Okay, so I want to connect, first of all, I want to connect my mounting brackets. That are these things here. Okay, and you see sort of that these particular mounting brackets, yeah, that there are 2 types. They're 2 different shapes. Okay, so the way I've got this position now is I've got the tower positioned with the fan facing up towards the camera. Okay, I have my power cables on my right hand side, and what we have, if I just move this around here, you can actually see that we have this brass bar here, which is, I suppose, really what's going to help to conduct the heat. The tower itself, the fan will be spinning, and we can see that we have these particular fans, these set fans that are going to help dissipate the heat away from the processor, and the fan here is going to cool those, which hopefully will stop this from overheating under my conditions that I'm going to be running it under. Okay. You can run this without having the tower on it. So I have it set up like this, face towards me. The round copper bar is facing towards me, and what I need to do is I need to get, I suppose, my first one, which is my first bar. Okay, and my first bar is going to go. My first mounting bar is going to just basically clip on like this. And I'm going to have a screw that needs to go in there. So I'm going to actually just do that now. I'm just going to take this. I'm going to take one of my screws. I'll just place my screw in here, and just, I suppose, just gently, I'm just going to try to fit that in there with the screwdriver. Hopefully this just catches nicely, and it does. It goes in. It just, there's no pushing required. It's very smooth. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tighten this up in here. This takes a couple of rotations of the screwdriver, and there you go. That's how easy it is. It's a little bit loose there, okay, but maybe I'll just leave that like that for the moment. And that's my first mounting bracket mounted to the heatsink there, okay. And then I'm going to take the second mounting bracket, okay, and I'm going to mount that just, whoa, let's turn that around this way so that they're in line. I'm going to mount that right here. So once again, I'm going to take a screw, I'm going to put it into the mounting bracket hole here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just attach that with the screwdriver. And once again, that's quite smooth, no problems here. That just goes in nicely. The threads are very, very smooth in relation to connecting this in, okay. So that's that in there, okay. The next thing that this says that we should do, okay, so you can see now I have the mounts on, okay. They're a little bit wobbly, okay, there, but that's no problem. This will all set into place when we attach that to the Raspberry Pi itself. So that's my mounts done. Then part 2 here says add the copper sticks and nuts to the mounting brackets, okay. So I'm going to take my first copper stick, I'm going to place it in here, okay. So my first copper stick has gone in there. It's gone into the mounting bracket, the first mounting bracket, it's gone in here, and I'm going to take a nut, attach that nut at the back of that, and a little bit finicky this is, and I'm just going to screw that together, okay, or tighten the nut, and that allows me to tighten. Now I'm going to get at some stage some small little wrenches, yeah, that's going to allow me to tighten them up a little bit better. I can take my second one, I connect it in here, okay, and I get my next nut, and I put that on here, okay. So my second nut, oh, my fingers don't allow me to do this, so let me just get this here again. So I've got my second nut, and I'm going to connect this in. Whoops, that's not working, okay. This is a little bit too thing for me. Oh, there we go, and nope. So this is very, very delicate work, and obviously I'm not really good at this. Maybe I should hold this like this, and maybe we'll just connect that in there. A little bit under pressure here with the camera, with the video rolling. So let me just actually maybe try that again. So I'll just sit back and relax for a moment, and I'm going to get the first nut, or this nut here, and hopefully connect it onto this particular stick. Come on, get on there. This is a little bit more. Oh, there we go. No, let me take a different nut. Okay, so let's take a second nut, and let's just connect that on. Okay, so there we go. Now, I think that's it, is it? Yeah, there we go. Now that's on, and we're going to do that for them all. So that's my second one. That took a little bit of time there. Okay, but this is real life. This is the way things happen in the real world. I'm going to take my third one, and I'm going to put that into the mounting bracket. Okay, along with the nut. And hopefully that just attaches. Oh, I'm sure there's a better way of doing this, yeah, but here we go. Let's just get this in here. Let's just attach that on. I think it's that nut that's causing the problem. Well, maybe it's not the nut, maybe it's just really me. Okay. Ah, there we go. So that third one now is on. Nearly there, guys. I'm up to about 14 minutes on this video already. Okay, I'm going to take the next nut, the next stick as they call them, and I'm going to attach that in here, and I'm going to put on this nut here, the fourth nut. There we go. That was a little bit easier, and I'm going to tighten that up there. Okay, brilliant. So there we go. We now have our cooling tower with the mount all set up on it, and now we should be ready to go to attach this to the board itself. Okay, so once again, be careful the way we pick up the board. Okay, we don't want any of the static that's on us discharging onto the board and causing problems. So I'm going on to the next page here, the booklet, and it says paste the thermal tape to the Raspberry Pi's CPU socket. Yeah, sock. Okay, so I'm going to take the thermal tape. Here's the thermal tape. I'm going to take off the bottom of it. Okay, brilliant. I'm going to take off the top. There's a little bits of plastic here on these. Obviously my nails aren't really good for this. Okay, there we go. Now, so now what I have is the thermal tape, and gently and carefully I'm going to take the thermal tape and I'm going to put that on top of the CPU sock, which is right there. Okay, brilliant. So that's that done. I assume we've got 3 pieces of thermal tape. I assume I'm only putting 1 piece on. And then it says fix the mounting brackets to the Raspberry Pi with the copper sticks. Okay, so I have 4 more copper sticks that are going to come up here. Let's say through the Raspberry Pi. Okay, these are going to come up here through them particular holes, them particular threaded hole, well, screw holes here, and I'm going to connect the board. So what way do I connect the board? It says, well, the fan is going to be facing me in this direction. My Ethernet and my USBs are on my right hand side, so I'm going to put this on top of this and in that particular position here, and I'm going to connect now. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, that's the way that should be connected. Okay, and I'm going to connect that to the Raspberry Pi using the other sticks. Okay, so you can sort of see what has to happen. I'm going to put another stick up through it, and does it say anything about the base plate? Okay, here's the base plate here. Okay, so the base plate, I suppose we're going to use these 4 screws here on the base plate. So let's start this process. I'm going to pick up the Raspberry Pi. I'm going to take the first, let's say, brass stick, and I'm going to connect this in here. Brilliant, that goes in nice and smoothly. Okay, that's the first one in. I'm going to take the next one, okay, and I'm going to connect that in here, and just a little bit of jiggling about required. Okay, so I'm going to connect that in there. Brilliant. Okay, I'm going to come over this side. I'm going to take my next one and I'm going to place that in here. Okay, and hopefully that connects nicely. It does. No problems there. Oh, it's a little bit wobbly. Okay, let's just move that around a bit. Okay, so that's now there. That's connecting in. Brilliant. And then, oh, that's lovely. And then I'm going to turn around to the 4th one. Okay, and I'm going to connect this in. So this brass stick now seems to be a little bit out of, oh, there we go, that's connected. That was actually quite easy there. That's connected, so that's everything connected. And here my power, if I want to power off the board, I'm going to use these things. I'm going to connect them in over onto the GPIO. Okay? And then finally what I'm going to connect is I'm going to attach all of this to the brass plate. Okay, so we're going to fix the acrylic protection panel to the Raspberry Pi with the M2 screws. So I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to fix this plate, acrylic plate, onto the bottom here of this using the screws that are provided. So I have the first one, let's say here. Let's just try to get this in here. Get the screwdriver in. Just let's try to get that latch in there. Perfect. That's gone in nicely. Okay. And then what I have is I'm going to take the next one. Let's just do it over this side. Oh, let's do it over this side. The acrylic plate. And I'm going to connect that in. That goes in nicely as well. Brilliant. I'm being careful here not to touch the board that much. And my next one goes in. And I'm going to attach this in. Okay, it goes in here. And that's attached. And then my final one, my final screw is going to go in here. And that's attached here. Brilliant. Oh, there we go. And that's attached nicely to it. And there you go. This now here is my Raspberry Pi. This is my Raspberry Pi setup. Okay, I'm just going to push it down there. Just hopefully now that's good. I'm at some stage I'm going to get some small little spanners, yeah, okay, and I'm just going to tighten this up a little bit, yeah. But effectively what we have here now is we have our Raspberry Pi. Now, what's important here, let's say if we want to power up this, okay, it says in stage 6 is connect the red wire to the 5 volt and the black wire to the ground on the Raspberry Pi's GPIO. Okay, so let's just have a look at this in a little bit more detail. What I got here was I got the schematic off the Raspberry Pi homepage. Okay, I'm going to just position this around the way this is. You can see that we have the Ethernet here, and we have the USBs. We have the micro HDMIs here. We have the power here. So, and here's all these things here on the Raspberry Pi. But what I need to do is I need to take these two here. Okay, what's the best way to do this? Maybe it is to go around this way. And it says connect the red to the 5 volts power. So the red goes to the 5 volts power, which is pin 2. So my red is going to come around, and that's going to connect to pin 2 here. So there's my red is on pin 2. Brilliant. And then my black wire is going to go to ground, which is pin 6. Okay, so it is the third one in on the left hand side. So when I get this around here, just have to be careful here with this. I'm just going to take this around here. I probably should have came under. Maybe I should have done that. Probably should come under here in relation to connecting this. And this goes into pin number 3. A little bit finicky. So our pin number 6, which is the ground on the Raspberry Pi. There we go. I'm going a bit blind, I think, yeah. But let me just try to get that here. So that's going in here. There we go. Okay. So effectively now, this fan, this tower, this cooling tower, okay, is now ready to go, and my Raspberry Pi is ready to be, I suppose, let's say, loaded up with the operating system, connected to a monitor, and also for connection of a keyboard. Okay, and that's effectively it. That's really everything that we need to do at this stage. Yeah, so we're all good to go. Once again, you can see the fan is facing towards me here. Here's the micro. Let's say here's the power supply, where the micro power supply is going to go. Okay, or the USB power supply. These two here are the two HDMI micro ports, okay, for connecting into a screen. And if I'm not mistaken, let me just see here. I have, where will my keyboard? I suppose, well, my keyboard will probably just go. It'll just be USB keyboard, and it'll just go into one of the USB ports. So there you go, guys. There's my Raspberry Pi with the cooling tower all set up. And no, obviously I was talking through this, that took about 22 minutes there. But I hope that this was informative. I hope it was helpful for people that want to do this sort of setup themselves. And as usual, we have a few spare things. I've got some spare thermal tape, which I'm going to hold on to. I've got some pins, a pin, a screw, and a nut. And I have this here, which looks like it's some sort of jumper, which came with the Raspberry Pi. So I don't know what that's for, but I'm sure I will figure that out at some stage. Yeah. Okay, guys. Once again, this is Jonathan Lambert with the Mathematics Development and Support Service at National College of Ireland. And thanks for watching this video. And I hope that was helpful and showed you how easy it is to connect a cooling tower, and in particular this new Ice Tower Cooler, to a Raspberry Pi 4. Okay. And thanks for watching. Okay, bye bye, guys.